This video is part 2 of our introduction to the International Collision Regulations, known as ColRegs. The video will cover the rules regarding the operation of powerboats versus other powerboats. If you've watched the overview for this series, you know that powerboats are the bottom of the privilege chain of vessel classes and must give way to all other classes of vessels. So let's look at the boat navigation rules as they relate to power versus power vessels. We'll look at these rules in terms of a number of different circumstances. The first circumstances is when the paths of the two boats are crossing and there's a risk of a collision. In this case, the boat to starboard is the stand-on vessel. The boat to port is the give-way vessel. Now, how can you tell if a risk of a collision exists? You can determine if a risk of a collision exists by taking the bearing of the crossing boat. If that bearing stays constant over time, then there's a high chance of a collision. That's called a constant bearing. We call the area to the right or starboard side of the give-way vessel its danger zone. If there's a vessel crossing in your danger zone and the risk of a collision exists, the give-way vessel must take give-way action. So this danger zone actually covers an arc of 112.5 degrees to starboard. If we add our running lights to this picture, we can see that the danger zone is actually the same area to starboard that is covered by the green running light. At night, if you see a single red running light, you are a give-way vessel. That's true regardless of whether the other vessel is a sail or a power vessel. Conversely, if you see a single green running light with the white masthead light, you are the stand-on vessel. Of course, should you see a green running light without the white masthead light, then you're a give-way vessel, as the other vessel is a sailing vessel. Now, the give-way vessel should take early and obvious action to avoid the stand-on vessel. And the actions can include turning to port, turning to starboard, changing speed. Should the stand-on vessel decide that the give-way vessel is not taking appropriate action to avoid a collision, then it should take its own action. Its action can include turning to starboard or changing speed so as to avoid a collision. However, it should not turn to port, as turning to port increases the chance that the two boats will turn into each other. The next circumstance we might look at is a head-on approach, where we have two vessels heading directly towards each other. In this circumstance, both vessels are give-way vessels. There is not a stand-on vessel involved. We have two give-way vessels, and each vessel must give way by turning to its starboard so that the vessels pass port to port. At night, in a head-on situation, you would see the red and green running lights plus the white masthead light. These lights indicate that you're a give-way vessel and must give way to starboard. If there is no white masthead light, then the vessel approaching you is a sailboat and you are still the give-way vessel. And the final circumstance to look at is the overtaking circumstance, where one vessel is coming up from astern of the second vessel. In this case, the overtaking vessel is the give-way vessel. The vessel being overtaken is stand-on. The overtaking vessel can give way by turning to port or to starboard. If we add our navigation lights, we see the key light in this case is the stern light of the vessel that's being overtaken. This white light covers an arc of 135 degrees. And if your vessel is within the arc of this light, then you are the overtaking vessel and must give way to the vessel ahead of you. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, please click like and subscribe to our channel. Be sure to watch Part 1, Introduction, and Part 3, Sail versus Sail.